Welcome to the Weekend's Overrated. It's your host, Don Dollar. Boy, I don't know if it's hot, cold, or somewhere in between. One day we about to go to the beach. The other day we got the jackets, hats, and coats. But it's all right. I want to shout out, everybody, like I said, who's been checking out the channel so far. We do appreciate, liking, sharing, etc. So keep it up, please. Our goal, like I said, is to grow and expand the channel. We can keep talking about real things in real time with real people. So on today's What Did We Learn? That love is a two-sided coin. And I know when I talk about love, sometimes people automatically go for like romantic love. All right, pump your brakes. No, we're gonna peel back the layers a few things that typically come long before any romantic type of love. And that's the love dynamic when it comes to family, and how that can either allow you to blossom and grow to your fullest, or that can keep you stifled, and that can limit your ability to really become the best version of yourself. And the main source that I've seen that is with the immediate family. So this is siblings, parents, or even sometimes children. So like either sometimes parents can experience this because their kids can stifle their growth. Because I don't know why, but I've seen many times where people think that because they're old enough to smoke and drink and rent a car, that they've learned all they need to learn. They're done. Like, they know it all and they don't know shit. And I think for me, one thing that perpetuates, I don't like using the word toxic, but I think it really applies in its purest form in this scenario, is that when, let's say, children, for example, when they become adults, they never really introduce their parents or their immediate family to the adult version of them. It's like they just have this lifelong child complex. As grown as they get, as much as they can get married, they can have kids, whatever, but they'll still have like this childlike respect. And for me, like I said, I've seen it endless amount of times. I feel like there's a way to balance the relationship as time goes on, because the dynamics definitely are supposed to change. I know for myself, they've changed, from when I was a boy to now being a man. The dynamic is very, very different. There are certain aspects of the relationship that, when you're a kid, no one's really thinking about being mindful of, or no one's held accountable for. But now when you're an adult, it's really your responsibility to make sure that, certain lines don't get crossed and certain boundaries are in place. Because love being unconditional, that's just a really good marketing scheme. It's kind of like saying diamonds are a girl's best friend. Because I've seen people take advantage and lean on the fact that you love them. Like I said, I've seen parents do it over and over and over, and a lot of times it really be about getting their way, and sometimes, or a lot of times, it really be about money, which is sad. Because me being a parent, when I look at my kids now, I think about the seeds that I'm planting today, the type of relationship that I'm cultivating with them today, right? Because my expectation for when they become adults and when I get older is going to be based off of my effort in which I display today, the type of relationships I'm building with them individually and as a collective. And I think sometimes the work just doesn't, the work never gets put in, but the expectation, it's always there. And it's like you're expected to, jump when your parents say jump. You're expected to, when they're in the jam, every single time, not most of the time, but every single time, it's like the world is on your shoulders. You got to figure it out, and even in their stubbornness and unwillingness to really listen and understand things that could, make whatever the scenario is a lot easier. They just want it their way, how they want it, when they want it. Shut up, do what I say. And then if not, they'll guilt you to death. And I'm just here to say, like, fuck all that. Like, listen, I think, it's a world that balance exists. And when I say balance, the balance of, okay, I love and respect you as, my parent, and I'm always in the mind frame of doing things that can, help benefit, you and the collective, But when it comes to a point where the attributes are not, when it comes to a point where the description of a lot of situations are manipulative, like I said, that toxic word I hate, but it does apply in this instance. I think that's where things get a little murky. But I don't want to put all the blame on the parents, because I feel like once you get to a certain age as an adult, you gotta like, what's the word I'm looking for? You gotta grab your nuts, and I mean in so many words. You gotta grab your nuts. Like, you can't continue through life, because what I've learned is that what someone will allow, they ultimately like it. They ultimately enjoy it, because people will complain and they'll have like backdoor conversations about their relationships with their parents or their relationships with their kids, and they'll spew all of their grievances, but then the minute something comes up that they hate doing or don't want to do, there they are right there. They're right at that beck and call. And it's like, well, which one is it? Do you hate doing it? Do you not like doing it? Do you not like the dynamics? Or do you just like to hear yourself complain about it? And I say all that to say, it's just a lack of healthy balances when it comes to immediate family, that I feel like, we all know it, but no one wants to like really say it. But I'm going to say it. Like, it's a healthy balance deficiency that is glaringly needing to be addressed in a crazy way. So I think that, like I said, from the examples that I've seen in my lifetime, it ultimately stunts your growth. It doesn't allow you the ability to become the best version of yourself. And think about it. If you are an individual who allows this type of behavior, then how can you become the best parent, or how can you become the best anything in whatever many hats that you may wear in life, where you're just allowing foolishness? Because at the end of the day, most of it's foolishness. Like, I know someone who they have their brother lives with them. Their brother is their roommate, right? And when I'm talking to him, he's like, yeah, my brother was late with his portion of the rent this month, and now it's going on 2 months, and now he's saying, he got the money, but he's short on his car note. And then in my head, I'm like, it's no way, because you letting him play you, because I could give a damn about your car, brother. The rent due, where we rest our head, like, you know what I mean? And the fact that there's no accountability established, and there's no, there's no boundary. There's really no respect, because if that same brother lived by himself, his ass will be out on the street, and that's where I think, sometimes people, they get too much grace. The people closest to us get too much grace and not enough accountability. You got to hold people accountable. Like, it is what it is, because that same grace that you give people, they'll store it, and they'll keep on buying time, and they'll keep on utilizing the emotional aspect of things to alleviate really having to deal with any type of real consequence. And I just think it's unfortunate, but I see it way too much. I see it way too often. Not to really speak on it, but like I said, if you're a woman, man, adult, and like I said, if you're a parent, or if you have kids, if you're older and you have kids, there's nothing wrong with establishing boundaries. There's nothing wrong with holding people accountable. There's nothing wrong with letting them figure out whatever their problem is, rather it be financial or whatever. You can have some level of assistance, but just to come in time after time to save the day, that's not really a good recipe for success, in my opinion. So that's all we had today, man. I just had that on my mind, for what did we learn, that toxicity, it starts young. It doesn't start when you get in a relationship and you find a new word and you want to keep calling people narcissistic 1,000 times. Like, that's all fun and cute, but the real challenges are what starts when you're small, and that continues as you grow. So that's all we got for today. Stay warm, keep the heat on, heat the steering wheel. If you don't got that, I'm sorry. I'm out.